Greetings, this is the Timeshare Traveler. Today is episode 147. Gotta get all those fingers in there. How to be a frugal timeshare traveler. This is a great episode. This is all about stretching your points, which is the first point. Then I'll go through and actually show you samples of how you can book what's called last call. These are the last minute deals. They call them last call in RCI or Getaway in II or Interval International. Then I'll talk about the value of staying off peak versus, knowing when the high season and the low season is. I recommend, if it's for me, it's just me, so staying in a studio with either a kitchen or kitchenette is to me a great value. Get to use all the facilities regardless of the size unit. And then I'll be very specific about 3 different properties and HCV Max examples, and then I'll do WorldMark examples, 3 different ones of those. Before I do that, I'll tell you a little about my channel, and we'll be back. Hang in there. We'll be back to talk about stretching your points. Hi, this is Cliff, and I'm the Timeshare Traveler. Welcome to my channel. The purpose of my channel is to educate those who love traveling in timeshares. I've been an owner for 15 plus years at timeshare ownership. I have elite ownership with Marriott, Hilton, and WorldMark. I have published over 100 timeshare video reviews, and I've published over 95 timeshare tips. I can be found on Facebook at Timeshare Trav, at Twitter, Timeshare Trav, and on the web at www.timesharetraveler.com. Well, welcome back. So, what about stretching your points? Being frugal means you don't have to own as many points, or the other way to look at it is, what if you could stay for 40 weeks versus 21 weeks with the same points? And those, I actually have examples. So that's what, and that's sort of the way it works is, on average, you have 40% of the week's total points is used for Friday and Saturday night. In the case of Hilton, there's a little more on Sunday as well. But the way I do this is I use hotel points for the weekends, or I look at the cash options in the case of Hilton Grand Vacations, or I use what's either Monday Madness or inventory specials to book the weekends on the WorldMark side. So there's different ways, but basically it's using cash instead of using your maintenance fees, because then you can focus your maintenance fees on the least expensive nights. And again, 40% fewer points allows you to stay almost twice as much. So again, and in addition to that, you can add on top of that the video that I'm about to show you, which is the Interval International cash offers. That would be the last call case in the case of RCI, and with the Getaway for Interval International. So without further ado, let me show you those videos. RCI, and I'm choosing, we could do the drop down here, but I'm choosing the last calls, and then I'm going to choose California. And that'll be the state, and then it shows you a list of properties. You can see 3 nights and so forth. I'm going to pick the one that I've done a review on, which is the GEVC Lighthouse. And again, you can scroll down and do dates available, and you can see that you can get a 1-bedroom for the week of June 2nd for $339. You just click through and book it, but that's in general how you do that, and you just follow through, and it's $339 for the week, which is a great rate. I hope that was helpful, and there you go. There's an example of how you can do a last minute and save tons of money and do this not using up any of your points. It's a short-term stay in Interval World. First of all, we'll go in and put the city, which is Phoenix. I'm going to put Phoenix, Arizona. And I know that in July, if I pick the 9th through the 16th, and then click on Find Getaways, and these are just to pay cash. And you can see Marriott here is like around, and that's a studio for $327. On the 14th, you can get also a studio. So some nice there. And then here's a 1-bedroom for $377 at the in Scottsdale. So that's a nice property as well. And that's Sheridan Desert Oasis, which is a good property. You can get a 1-bedroom for $450. So again, your prices are doing pretty good there, and you don't need to have any points because you can take advantage of the last minute stays, better known as Getaways, on Interval. So there you have Interval. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed the video, and one of the key things I should tell you about the video is those were examples of staying off peak. Um, what you can do, my example for HCMAC and WorldMark is I combine the weekend I combine with weekend cash and use less points. So I use the points for Sunday through Thursday, and then I use the cash option or Monday Madness. I know the cash price for that on the WorldMark. Those are just the terms. I've got off-peak California wine country. I've got off-peak Las Vegas and Orlando, I think, on the HGV Max side, and off-peak, I believe I have that in Arizona. If I don't, it's one of the ones I definitely used in the RCI and Interval International. Anyway, so I'm finding, by the way, when you do this, it's much less expensive with your maintenance points or the cash option than doing Airbnb. So hopefully you'll find that when you actually look at the examples as well and agree with me. So my next little secret is I stay in a studio when I can, and particularly if I know it has a kitchen, and many of the WorldMarks do, and even the one Hilton does that I use in my example in Myrtle Beach. It has a kitchen. But even when you don't, you get, again, first thing is you get full access to all the amenities, so you lose nothing in terms of staying at the timeshare. You just have a smaller room. And I have an electric skillet that I actually carry in my car that I bought for $30. I even bought one in Hawaii for 2 weeks when I was doing that. And I got it at WorldMark, and they had WorldMark. I got it at one of the discount stores, a Target, I think it was, that I got it. Oh, maybe it was Walmart that I got it at. And I got it for $30, and I used it for 2 weeks, and then I left it for the person. Then when I left, and it was still well worth it than buying, as opposed to buying meals. And I used the grills, and by using the grills, that means really I use that skillet not as much as I need to. And I can use it for making my eggs, or I can just use the microwave. It's normally enough for breakfast. And the interesting thing is studios very often have king-size beds, so you're not necessarily suffering on the size of bed. You do have a little walk-around issues, and the WorldMarks often have Murphy beds, so they fold out, and then you get the living room back. So it depends on the views. So anyway, let me go through the sort of points example of both of those situations. Okay, so now I'm looking at the HGV Max example with cash in the open season. Again, since we're booking it off-peak, the open season is a very possibility that you'd be able to get Saturday and Sunday. Again, if this was the middle of the summer in Hawaii or one of the high peak seasons places, you're unlikely to get that. But again, we have the option to stay at a hotel if this doesn't work. But if you can get the open season, then you don't have to move. So here's the example. The columns left to right, Anderson Ocean Club. I picked the studio there because it has a full kitchen. It's 1,760 points for the week in silver, and that's the first through seventh week, and I think it's 48 through 50. And so Friday and Saturday cash is $103 a night, so 206. It's the remaining of 1,056 points, and then I calculate based on my maintenance fees for Hilton Grand Vacations for me, and then I calculate the total cost, and then I mention the difference is 1,760 points for silver and 1,056 points, and then I calculate my points. I have 60,000 points in Hilton Grand Vacations, and if I were able to do this for every week, which I can't because the low season isn't all year round, I actually could stay more than a year every year, or versus 34 weeks if I were not doing this strategy. So this frugal method of having the points or using a little bit extra cash means I don't have to buy as many points and own as many points in Hilton Grand Vacations, and I see how much longer I can stay. And again, you can go through the Las Vegas example in the Park Soleil, which is in Orlando, and you can see there that you get 39 weeks versus 23. So it's literally almost 50% more. You do have a little more cash to come up front, but you're not having to buy as many points and paying maintenance on as many points, so if you can't do this every year. But you can see it substantially improves how long you can stay. Now I'll jump into the WorldMark example. Okay, now let's take a look at the WorldMark example. And this is using the Monday Madness points. It's 9 cents a credit. And so you can see the WorldMark Seaside. You can see the total credits for the week. It's 3,000 because we're in the blue season. Friday and Saturday using Monday Madness, that's 1,400 credits. It's $160. which leaves you with only $1,600, almost 50-50, but not quite. So that's $145 in maintenance fees. So really quite frugal at $305. And you've only used 1,600 points. So what that does with 65,000 points is what I have. And again, I'm not taking into consideration you're not platinum. You do have to deal with cleaning deposits, so that might cleaning tokens. So it might affect some of this numbers. But I just want to show you the difference if you are at this location, this status. If there were this many weeks and blue weeks, I could stay 40 weeks versus 21 weeks just booking straight. So leveraging the Monday Madness allows me not to have to buy as many points. That's the whole point. It's not that necessarily you're using cash for some of that, and if you did do the 21 weeks, maybe you wouldn't have to generate as much cash, but typically it's a much better deal and you get to stretch your points much further. Similarly for WorldMark Windsor, you can go through the details, but the bottom line is you go from 23 weeks in the white season in a studio, and it has a grill on the back deck, and it has a full kitchen, and 13 weeks doing it the traditional way in the white season. I don't think there's 23 weeks in the white, but you get the sense if I use some of that at the WorldMark Seaside, and then I went down to Windsor, and then I went down to Indio. I think there's you could get quite a bit of the year covered that way, because within WorldMark Indio it's a similar math. It's 23 weeks versus 16 weeks. So there you have it. You can get literally almost twice as much out of it. Sorry, the last one's 29 weeks versus 16 weeks at the Indio. So you can almost double up your weeks at each one of these locations. So be frugal, save money, enjoy more vacations. Hope you enjoyed this. Give it a like, thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe.